Hello everyone, Silent here and welcome back to another Bedrock Edition tutorial. Today I'll be showing you how to build an upgraded and improved Generation 2 Trident killer. This thing is extremely fast, cheap, and reliable. It barely uses any redstone at all, and it's going to make for a great upgrade to any existing mob farm that you have in your world. Due to the killing speed of this Trident killer, it should boost the rates of your mob farms just because it's killing the mobs so much faster. For example, just about any mob that you put into this design is going to die in one hit or maybe 2 hits. It is seriously very quick. This Trident killer also has automatic loot and experience delivery, so you don't need to worry about having extra redstone in order to get your items or experience out of the build. If you're not familiar with Trident killers, one of the greatest things about them is the fact that they are basically remote kill chambers that act as player kills. So everything that dies inside of a Trident killer will drop experience that can be collected by the player, and if the player who throws the tridents is holding a looting 3 sword, that will also apply the looting effect to every single mob that is killed as well. So you can sprinkle a bunch of these around the area and have multiple different kill chambers going, all funneling you experience from different hostile mob farms, and honestly they are one of the best features of Bedrock Edition. So here is one of the most basic versions of this Trident killer. As you can see, it uses a comparator clock, which is so much faster than the swirly designs, and it's also using impaling tridents to kill the mobs so much quicker as well. As you can see, the tridents are sitting on top of some trapdoors, and I'll explain more about what's happening there in a moment, but if we drop in a creeper, as you can see, he dies basically instantly, 1-hit kill. So here is a Trident killer with twice as many tridents. It's got 4 tridents and 4 minecarts. If we turn this on, you can absolutely spam this with mobs as well. You can upgrade it even further, so that is a 4 Trident killer. This is an 8 Trident killer. I don't know why you would need this or what kind of mob farm outputs this amount of mobs, but it completely destroys all of the mobs that you put in it, and it's honestly just really quite the sight to behold. So with these Trident killers, the items and experience do get output into the water stream, and then you can simply send the experience to the player and send the items to your storage system, or you can simply destroy the experience on a campfire, and that doesn't affect any of your items. You're then free to collect them with a hopper if you want to. Now, with these designs, it's a little bit inevitable, but we do lose a couple of items and a little bit of experience inside of the Trident killer, and that's simply due to like the really weird physics of XP orbs. So keep in mind, these swirly designs that are basically a big old blender, these still work perfectly fine. There's no issues with these whatsoever. However, the newer trapdoor designs are much faster. Just some basic Trident killer mechanics for you in case you are not aware. Trident killers will never damage or destroy or despawn or delete the tridents. These things last forever inside of the Trident killer, and they are tied to the person who throws them. So if player 2 throws the trident, that person needs to hold the looting sword and be online for that trident to actually give the looting effect to the mobs that it kills. Player 1 will have to pick up that trident and throw it again if they want to use the build. So keep that in mind. If you're playing in a multiplayer server, you might have to rethrow these in order to use the farm properly with another player. So how exactly does this Trident killer work? Well, it's actually pretty fascinating. We have some tridents sitting on top of trapdoors, and then we are activating them super duper fast with a comparator clock, and that basically allows the trapdoor to open and close rapidly, which updates the tridents and makes them think that they're falling, and then they don't fall, and then that basically activates them. So as you can see, that is able to kill this creeper when it's inside of the minecart, and anything that happens to be touching that trident will take damage from it. So of course we're going to be using a minecart, that way the mobs don't actually push around that trident and dislodge it from that location, eventually breaking the farm. Unfortunately, the thing about the single trapdoor is that it's not relog proof, so if we leave the game and rejoin, all of those tridents are going to fall down. It doesn't happen every single time, but they do fall down pretty often, and that's not really a safe thing because then you gotta basically rebuild the entire inside of your Trident killer. So in today's design, we're using doubled trapdoors, basically one on top to actually activate the trident, and then one on the lower side to actually prop prop up the trident and prevent it from falling back down. Even with the doubled trapdoors, it's still an extremely good idea to churn off the trident killer before leaving the area or logging out of the game. By the way, none of the trident killers in today's video work for cave spiders. Cave spiders are absolutely evil and you should not be farming them anyway, so why do you just don't farm cave spiders. They're bad. So these trident killers are a little bit sensitive, so for this tutorial I highly recommend that you churn on your trident killers via pressure plate. That way you have to be standing at the AFK spot for the trident killer to be on. You can link up this pressure plate to activate your mob farm or whatever else, and also never log out the game while it is running. It is technically relog proof, so you won't have to throw the tridents, but there is a small chance that they could still hit your minecarts and destroy them. So yeah, be careful with this design. It's not like absolutely safe. So as you can see, these trident killers are not without their faults, and they are a little bit finicky. However, I think it's worth it simply due to the extreme speed that you get from killing them. One other thing that you should be aware of is that if you are absolutely dumping mobs into these trident killers, like if you just have so many mobs going in there, the mobs are actually going to be bouncing up against the trapdoors on the edges, and thus they will actually be pushing around the tridents just a little bit. They've actually pushed in these tridents quite far. Now, this oftentimes will not be an issue for you, but if you do find that you just have so many mobs that they're pushing around your tridents, what you'll need to do is put a trapdoor in front of these tridents in order to prevent them from ever accessing them, and that will completely solve this issue. So of course with this, you might now have mobs landing on top of these trapdoors, so you might need to get like a piston right here to push them off, and there's just various complexities that go into these trident killers. But overall, if you do it right, then these things should serve you very well in your world. Bug alert: for 1.17.10 plus, XP visually appears to be where it is not. So as you can see, there's like a ton of experience inside that trident killer. Well, not actually. It just visually appears to be there. It's actually all right over there in that hole. And we can demonstrate this by set blocking a campfire right there. And as you can see, all of those experience orbs just turned red and got burned by the campfire. The other ones are probably stuck underneath the campfire. So if you see a bunch of experience in some place, it might not actually be there. So this right here is one of the individual cells of the trident killer. As you can see, the mob gets into the minecart. The upper trapdoor is activated via your redstone line, and as the mob dies, the items and experience get pushed out via water, and the fence is simply there to keep the minecart from getting pushed out by the water as well. The super basic double trident killer is going to require a rough 5 wide by 4 deep area, plus a little bit of room for some redstone and water streams. We're going to go to the upper left corner and go in by a block, pillar up by 2, and then create yourself a 2x2 platform of slabs. This is going to be the very center of your trident killer. We're going to place some regular fences to the right of that, and then surround the entirety of this platform in some solid blocks. You don't need these corner blocks, so feel free to remove those ones. We're then going to place some temporary blocks right here, and then 2 upper trapdoors against those blocks. Remove those, and now place some glass blocks on the opposite side of it like so. Go ahead and place in a line of 4 blocks in these directions, and an extra block there, 1 block there, and then finally just a couple extra blocks right there for the redstone. You want a comparator? Make sure to put that into subtract mode so that the little light is turned on. 4 pieces of redstone dust, and then getting yourself a pressure plate. And now we need to place in the upper trapdoors, and these are what the actual tridents are going to be sitting on. Now this is very important. You need to either be facing south or east when placing in these trapdoors. It is directional, and if you don't place them correctly, your system will not be relog proof. So you can use a sunflower, those always face east, or you can use a locator map to tell your direction, and these will tell you which way you are facing. So either face east and place in your trapdoor, or face south and place in your trapdoor. So once you have your trapdoors placed in correctly, you can simply go ahead and install your minecarts. So we need 2 pieces of rail, place on a minecart right there, and then simply push that into place. Do that on the opposite side as well, push that one into place, and now you are good to go. You can simply build up the walls of this area out of glass blocks, and then put in some glass blocks directly above your trapdoors as well. This right here is going to be the drop chute, and all the mobs from whatever mob farm you have will be falling down into this area. So set that up appropriately. We're also going to place in one water bucket directly in the corner so that it flushes towards the opposite corner right there. The actual Trident killer itself is now done, but now we're going to go down to the lower area and set up a little bit of an item collection tube. You can either have the water be right here at this layer, or you can have it be a block lower. I find that having it be a block lower is actually a little bit more reliable for proper experience orb transportation, but you can do it however you like. So at this point, you'll send your water stream into your storage system, you'll send it to your AFK spot to deliver experience. Throwing in the tridents is really easy. As you can see, this trapdoor goes up to like the side direction, so I can throw this trident right there on the edge. However, this trapdoor opens up kind of like facing towards me, so I can't throw it directly on the edge. You'll have to throw it in just a little bit further. What you want to do after you throw it in is stand on your pressure plate, and then you'll see that both of your tridents will kind of realign themselves, and that is how you know they are actually getting activated and they will actually be killing mobs in your Trident killer. If they don't get realigned, then you threw it improperly and you need to throw it a little bit off of that hinge or just a little bit further towards the center. If you think an excess of experience is getting built up inside of your Trident killer, then what you can do is you can pop out this block right here in the corner and add in button right there, and that will allow some excess experience to kind of flow out of the corner, and then you can simply add in another water stream right there to collect it all. You cannot do this if there's any form of baby zombie going through your system, because the baby zombies are just gonna kind of like, you know, fall right out that corner. So only add this little fix if you don't have any baby zombies. Building the quad Trident killer is very similar to the double. We're gonna need a 6 wide area that is 4 blocks deep, and we're gonna start building in the very center. Pillar up by 2, and then create a 2x2 platform of upper slabs, and put 2 fences on either side of that. We're then going to go ahead and put a line of solid blocks on either side of this platform, just to keep in the minecarts and the water. Once you've got those in place, we're going to place in some trapdoors directly above those fences, and these are going to be upper trapdoors. We're then going to place some glass blocks to the sides of those trapdoors on both sides, and you want some solid blocks above those glass blocks as well. Now we're just going to build this entire thing up, so place in 4 solid blocks there, and on that side as well. Place in some glass blocks at this layer above your trapdoors, and then simply place in some glass there and right there as well. This is going to be the drop chute coming down from your mob farm, so this is where all of your mobs are going to be dropping in. And now we're going to install our redstone, so flip around to this side of the build, place in yourself 3 solid blocks in these locations. Your comparator on subtract mode is going to be going right there, and then simply add in a couple of blocks right there, redstone dust above all of those next to your glass blocks, and then do the same thing on the other side, a couple extra blocks in these locations, redstone dust going all the way around, and then we're simply going to add in 2 extra blocks, 1 piece of redstone dust right there, and our pressure plate that we're going to be standing on right here as well. Installing the minecarts is incredibly simple. We're going to go ahead and place down 2 rails right there, a minecart on that one and a minecart on that one. They'll push each other apart, and then all you got to do is remove the rails, turn around and do the same thing on this side right here, and you are good to go for the minecarts. And now we're going to install the rest of the trapdoors. So install your upper trapdoors in the correct directions, either south or east. If you saw the entirety of the tutorial, then you'll know how to do this. We also need to go ahead and break out these 2 blocks right here and replace those with upper trapdoors. You need upper trapdoors right here if you have any baby zombies in your build. These will contain the baby zombies, and if you have no baby zombies, then you can simply replace these with a couple of buttons right there. Either way, you want 2 glass blocks next to those. Installing your item streams is really straightforward. We simply need to build up some blocks around all of these fences, and then we're simply going to dig down a layer directly underneath all of these fences just to get like the optimal XP orb flow, and that's all there really is to it. So place in a water bucket on that side, a water bucket on this side, and make sure you also build up this wall going like all the way around. Otherwise, you're going to have a lot of items and experience shooting out of here and landing on ledges where they shouldn't. So the output of this area can just be like this little stream, and you can send that off to your storage and to the player. Now we need to throw in the tridents. If you saw the previous section of the tutorial, then you'll know exactly exactly how to do this as well. The very final thing to do is place in 2 water buckets. You need to do these very swiftly. So look at this block, place in one, place in another one right there, and then you are good to go. This is going to push all of your mobs towards this wall. It's also going to push all of your experience and items towards that wall and out into your water streams too. And with that, your quad Trident Killer is now done. Whenever you stand on the pressure plate, that is going to activate the Trident Killer, immediately decimate anything inside of there. The quad Trident Killer is fast enough to keep up with basically a constant stream of mobs, so unless your mob farm is producing more mobs than this, you probably don't need more than a quad Trident Killer. I genuinely don't think there's any reason to build the 8 Trident Killer, but if you want to for some reason, or if you have a mob farm that's just that good, then you basically just build this system twice and right next to each other. That is really all there is to it. You would only have a single water source at the back, and that pushes everything to the front, and it's a super simple and straightforward construction. If you know how to build the 4, then you pretty much automatically know how to build the 8. So let me know what you think about this Trident Killer down in the comment section of the video, and let me know if you have any issues with it as well. If it works out well for you, then you'll probably see some future tutorials using this type of Trident Killer as well. But otherwise, that is going to do it for today's tutorial. I hope that you have greatly enjoyed. If you have, then consider leaving a like. It helps out the video and the channel a ton. If you're new here, then consider subscribing so that you don't miss future tutorials. And otherwise, I'll see you down in the comment section and in the next one. And then there was silence.